Hey, it's your girl, Miss Honey. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It is your girl, Miss Honey, here for another review. This time it is a movie review. We are going to be talking about Amazon Prime's movie, Needle in a Time Stack. I had the privilege of seeing this movie maybe 3, 4 days ago out there looking for something to watch, and I saw this movie. I'd kind of been waiting on this movie, but I forgot that it was coming out. And lo and behold, it rolls out. I come upon it, and I was not disappointed. I thought, you know what? Let's talk about this movie. Let's talk about what is so special about Needle in a Time Stack. Again, this is an Amazon Prime movie. And if you have been a honeybee for a while, you know how I do things, right? And so, um, buckle up, buckle up. I posted on my community wall about this movie, and I got a little feedback that a lot of people had seen it and they were excited about me reviewing it. So here we are. If you are new to my channel and you are discovering Miss Honey for the first time, welcome. I will tell you, if you like things done in 15 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it's probably not a channel for you, because over here we give detailed reviews. We pick things apart. We talk about the scenery. We have conversation about the things that we talk about. So here you want to get comfortable, make yourself at home, sit a spell, right? Stay a while. And enjoy yourselves, okay? Remember, if you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, give me that thumbs up, helps me in the algorithm, and don't forget to comment down below. Have you seen this movie? What did you think about it, right? So check it. Needle in a Time Stack stars Cynthia Erivo. I believe she played Aretha Franklin on Hulu, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't think she got really great reviews for that. But listen, do not sleep on Cynthia Erivo. First of all, amazing voice, impeccable. The clarity, right? She is an English actress and songwriter and singer. She played in The Color Purple. She's got tons of Broadway credits. She played Harriet Tubman in Harriet Tubman. And she just overall is just an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous human being. Really beautiful. I mean, flawless, right? This movie highlights all the things that are just absolutely beautiful about Cynthia Erivo outside of her singing. Okay. In this movie, she plays a character called Janine, Janine Mickelson. And Janine is married to Nick Mickelson. And Nick Mickelson is played by Leslie Odom Jr., right? Okay. I believe he sings the hook for a Nationwide commercial. Really smooth, really creamy voice. I mean, he played Sam Cooke in one movie. He played Sam Cooke. I mean, just stellar vocals, right? Also well known for playing in Hamilton, an immensely popular Broadway play. He has won a Tony Award, I think a 2016 Tony Award. He won. And yeah, and he is a good looking guy. Chocolate, right? And so then we also have as our next starring character, Orlando Bloom. Orlando Bloom plays Tommy Hamble, and he actually is the ex-husband of Cynthia Erivo's character Janine. Okay, we all know Orlando Bloom. He played in Lord of the Rings, Pirates of the Caribbean, and then we have the lovely Frida Pinto, who is an Indian, an actress of Indian descent. And she played in Slumdog Millionaire, Planet of the Apes. I think she has a couple of BAFTA credits as well. And then lastly, in more of an annex role, auxiliary role, we have Jaden Wong, who plays Zoe Mickelson, who is Nick's sister. And we know her, I know her moreover from a TV show called Scorpion, right? She's got a very distinct deadpan voice. We don't see Zoe in this show until we are probably 8 to 10 scenes in. We get to see Zoe, and like I said, I knew who it was because she's got this very distinct deadpan voice, right? Listen, let's talk about this movie. We don't know a lot about what's going on. We can interpret it to be a love story, but it takes this weird turn midways where we're just not sure. Like, I kept waiting for it to be action packed, higgly piggly, run here and there, beat the clock type movie. I was ready for it to be time travel, time jumping. We've seen a lot of that in the last few years that has been wildly popular. And considering the name of the movie itself, yeah, I thought that's what we're going to be dealing with, right? Listen, this movie completely took me by surprise. It is absolutely visually stunning. It is gorgeous. It makes no presumptions about who we are as individuals watching this. It's really more about the spirit of a thing, the spirit of the person watching, where they are in life, level of intelligence, emotional intelligence, that type of thing. I mean, it just delivers in terms of taking your mind on a little bit of a journey, a little bit of a trip, right? All of the things that you can suppose, all of the suppositions that you can put out there about this movie, put them away. Just go ahead and put them away. It exceeds and excels those things. It is not boxed in by those thoughts and ideas and projections, right? It's a good movie, you guys. A good movie, right? So we get to see Nick Mickelson, played by Leslie Odom, and Janine Nicholson, played by Cynthia Erivo, at a party in the opening scene. And it's a lovely little dinner party, very casual, mature, sexy, eclectic, cultured individuals there. And we see Nick look at Janine across the room. Again, visually stunning. Cynthia Erivo is done so beautifully. I mean, she is styled. She is of hair, makeup, jewelry, nails, just everything is just styled so lovely. I mean, just an absolutely lovely, lovely character. I wanted to get to know her. I wanted to be friends with her. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to have coffee with Janine Mickelson, right? She is a photographer. More importantly, she is one of those photographers that sees the heart of something, the spirit of something, and is able to catch that on camera, on film. She is artistic and very cultured, like I said, elegant and smooth, and all things together lovely, right? Leslie Odom is a very loving character. He is very attentive. It just pushes the boundaries of of being a bit much, but he is passionate about not only what he does, but his family. He is a very conscientious individual. We get to see moments where he receives, it is his birthday. He receives a beautiful birthday gift from his sister, Zoe Mickelson, who is played by Jaden Wong. And just that thoughtfulness of his appreciation of the gift, the thoughtfulness of the conversation that she shares about she and her best friend. And it took me a while to come, like I said, out of those projections, out of that boxed in mindset, because through this whole, probably not until 30 minutes before the movie ended, I thought Zoe was same gender loving. But it turns out that she's just a really, really passionate best friend. She has this best friend who is Portuguese, and that's all she speaks. She doesn't speak English, and so she's become best friends of many, many years with a person who doesn't even speak her language. So it just has all of these colorful nuances, but again, Nick comes across as a very thoughtful individual. He is not callous. He is not rushed. He is not work centered. He is seems to come across as a very balanced individual. We hear the first dialogue that we hear is Nick saying to Janine as they ride on transit home that he looked at her across the room and he thought to himself, what would you do if you had never met her? What would you do if you never knew this person? And she said, what did you say? What do you think? And it's this really loving moment. She also shares with him that they have mutual friends whose party it was, that were getting a divorce. And he was like, but it was their party. They threw their party. And she's like, I don't know. People maybe just grow together. And then they both have this look of worry, of fret on their face. For me personally, when I first saw it, I thought, well, oftentimes married people root for other married people because, it's like, if they can make it, we can make it, and alternatively, if they are failing, oh my gosh, what's in store for us? Like, they seem so loving and caring, and, they're putting on a good show, but they're really, wanting a divorce. And she was like, sometimes people just grow apart, right? But she does have this look of dread on her face, and he does have this tense look on his face. We see where they wake up the next morning, and they are a just super loving couple. They have a super balanced lifestyle. Janine comes downstairs, and she puts food down for their beautiful little Cocker Spaniel, Charlie, and a leash, and she says, make sure you walk daddy later, right? She heads on off to work. When he gets up, he immediately gives Charlie loves and hugs and kisses and takes him out for a walk. It's super balanced life. We get to see where she is at work and she is taking some photos of some beautiful ballet dancers or interpretive dancers, right? Really quite a stunning scene. Really, really pretty, right? The colors, the schematics, the way it's shot, it's really beautifully done. We also get to see him at work, and I think he's an architect or architectural engineer, something of that nature, and he is in a meeting, and it is, going swimmingly. It's nice. And then we see what appears to be, I perceive to be a dream. Now, I had seen their mobile devices, and they did seem bit high tech, a bit new, not too far off from what we see today. So that alone did not tell me what time frame we were in. Every time we saw them traveling, it was on transit. So I mean, a couple of times, later on, but early on, we just see them on transit. We don't see vehicles, things like that kind of denote where we are in time. Like, where, what's the timepiece of this body of work. And so, we see this like ripple. It's almost like there was a tsunami, and this, I mean, just completely clear H2O like liquid kind of creeps into the room, and it sweeps over everyone at the boardroom table, at this meeting table. And they all are kind of just pushed. It's almost like you expect them to start floating, but they don't. And then it dissipates, and we see where Nick has got a little bit of a nosebleed, and everyone is going into like high alert. And, they're calling their loved ones. They're calling. I'm like, what's going on here? And Nick immediately calls Janine and says, hey, are you okay? Did you feel that? And she was like, I felt a little something, but it wasn't, it wasn't terribly significant. He was like, tell me what your name is. And she starts reciting what her name is, what her address is, who she's married to, what animals that they have, she starts to recite this. And he feels a little bit assured. He feels okay about it, but he is concerned. And so later on, when they get back to their home and they are talking, she comes in and she knows what's going to be the topic. The topic is going to be whatever this thing is that happened. At any rate, they call it a phasing. And so we are well ahead of 2022 from what I can gather. They are in a place of time where it is the future, right? And there is the ability to time jump, but every time an individual time jumps, or there is a time jump, a phasing, if you will, you lose a little something from your past. You lose a memory from your past, right? And he's concerned about this because he doesn't want to lose her. He loves her. See, they met a bit after Janine got a divorce. Janine got a divorce from a guy named Tommy, right? Who's played by Orlando Bloom's character, Tommy Hamble. And Tommy was married to Janine, and for whatever reason, they ended up divorcing and growing apart. And then a little time after that, she meets Nick. Nick knew Tommy, but he didn't know Janine, right? He and Janine met, they fell in love, they got married. They are deeply, deeply, deeply in love, right? No funny business going on. They really love each other. At the same time that they're talking, he looks up and there's a cat on the table, and he was like, I don't think I like cats. And she was like, what are you talking about? You love Charlie. And he was like, yeah, but I'm a dog person. I don't think I like cats. And she was like, I don't know what, she's kind of poo-pooing it. And the conversation just opened up a little bit more to where he was concerned that during this last phasing that happened earlier that day, that they lost a bit of their past. And moreover, he is concerned that Tommy, who is a very, very wealthy individual, is jumping back in the past. Now, anybody can jump back into the past, and they can make some alterations if they want to, and if they have enough money. Now, it is illegal and it is immoral and all of these different things. But again, if you have enough money and you have enough power, you can go back as well and make some changes, right? Even the slightest change in the past alters the future. We all know this, right? So he is concerned that Tommy is jumping back because he loves Janine so much that he wants to erase their past so he can have Janine back again. And Janine, she doesn't poo-poo it, but she doesn't want Nick to focus on this. She realizes that with every phasing, and he says to her, phasings happen every once in a while. We've seen 3 back to back in the last few weeks, right? I believe that Tommy is going back, and I believe he is trying to erase our past, and I believe he is trying to take you from me. Oh, nonsense, Nick, Janine says. It's no, it's not. That's not it. No, please get off of this. Please, not. Don't focus on this. You know it costs money. You know it's illegal, and why would he do that? And yada yada yada. But Nick is sure. He is sure. Um, because it's a futuristic place in time, one of the things that he loves to do as a hobby is collect old pieces like Walkman and Discman and things like that. And he keeps them on his mantle, kind of like you would, a tchotchke, a vase, yada, yada, yada. And so his sister gave him this Walkman for his birthday with this particular song on it, this tape player. And he plays it, he loves it, he comes and he puts it on the mantle. And when he puts it on this mantle, he notices there is a Casio, a little small Casio TV. Now, if you in Miss Honey's time age range, in my demographic, you know what a little Casio TV is, right? It's like a little handheld TV. And it's probably early 80s, right? And so um he notices it there. And so when they're having this conversation later on after the phasing, and she's trying to, dispel these ideas, he says, I have half a mind to go back in time. What if I went back? What if I had the money and the resources to go back in time and I eliminated Tommy? It would just eliminate all of this. And she said, listen, the reason why I met you is because of Tommy. If I didn't know Tommy and you didn't know Tommy, then we would never have met. And he does agree with that. But at the same time, he's got this nagging feeling that all of these phasings back to back is directly related to Tommy wanting Janine back. I'm summarizing it, but listen, the story is beautifully told. Beautifully told. These fears, this anxiety builds with Nick. He talks to his sister about it, his sister Zoe. She and her good friend, I can't think of her name, Pablo, something like that. Like I said, she is from Portugal. Um, so they are adventurers. They like to hike and bike and rock climb and things like that. They want him to go rock climbing, to celebrate his birthday. Just get over it. Just move past it. Again, he's talking about it. Apparently he talks about it quite frequently. His sister, who is one of his best friends, he discusses it with her and she too poo-poos it, right? He revisits the conversation with Janine, and at this point it has gotten to this frustrating place because he has gone to a memory recovery center in the mall that supposedly and hopefully, fingers crossed, saves your memories. There is no guarantee, but you pay this fee and they store your memories. And so if there's a phasing and you lose a memory, then you're able to go and recover these memories. And so in an attempt to make himself feel better and sort of stave off these fears that he's having, he signs up for this service. So he comes home and he talks to Janine about it this next day. And she's just like, geez, Louise, you're still on this every day with the whole memories thing and the whole phasing things. Let it go. Let it go. And he is just like, I can't let it go. I need to protect us. I want to protect our relationship. She just doesn't want to deal. Of course, he goes and talks to his sister about it. And, it's this back and forth where she acknowledges to him that, it was his ex-wife. You are married to his ex-wife. Says, no, I didn't meet her until they were divorced. I didn't, she says, well, you did kind of alter what they had. Like you somehow put yourself in the middle. That's not true. When they were together, I didn't know her. I didn't interfere in their relationship. It's not an affair. I met her after they divorced, and this is what it is. And so we got together after they divorced, and this is what it is. And she says, is it? Is it really? Like, just implying that maybe there was some sort of some subconscious pull for the two of them that they were not aware of, even when Janine was married to Tommy. It's a good conversation, a good conversation. Again, we still not seen Zoe. And so later on, after he has this conversation with her about this memory center, this memory recovery place, again, it keeps nagging him. It keeps bugging him. He does feel a little bit better about this, but they've had a big blow up about the memory recovery, and he calls to talk to Zoe about it. And he just gets a little bit into the conversation when he finds out that Pueblo or Paloma, whatever her name is, her Portuguese best friend, has died. She went rock climbing without Zoe, and she fell and she died. And Zoe was like, I was supposed to be with her, but I didn't go. I didn't want to go. And she went alone. Nick puts himself and his concerns with this whole phasing thing aside, and then he goes to see his sister, and they have this really great conversation where she talks about her friend. Again, at this point, I'm thinking, are they lovers? I don't know. She's just so endearing to this friend. She just loves this friend so much. It really seems more like an intimate relationship and more than a platonic relationship. But it was a platonic relationship. It was just, again, just those ideas, those leanings you have when you see a body of work and you've seen it so much, you kind of make these suppositions about where the writers are going, where the director is going in the storyline. But this is one of those movies that sort of flies in the face of all of that. What you think that is going on is not oftentimes in this movie what's going on or what's gonna happen. Like I said, I waited for it to turn into this higgly piggly run here and there, beat the clock, explosion, thriller type place. And it wasn't. It was just this consistent, calm, but still exciting body of work, right? So he goes to see her, and he again, Nick is a thoughtful character. He is still very endearing and loving to his sister and sympathetic, and he consoles her. And he goes back to his own world, goes back to his own universe. And so he tells his wife after they had this big fight, Janine goes to work and puts her camera on. She sits in front of it and she has this conversation with Nick. And she is constantly sending him videos and photos of himself for his birthday. In that second scene, she sends a photo of his hand with the wedding ring on it in bed, and just a short little video she sends to him. And now she's making another video because they're constantly fighting about this situation. She wants to speak to him and let him know that what they have is a love that will last forever. It is a love that is meant to be like a circle. There is no beginning and it never really ends, right? And we are for always, ALWAYS. We are always for always, ALLWAYS. Always, right? Love is like a circle, right? And it is endearing to him. He watches it over and over again as he's working throughout the day. And he gets in his mind. He says, you know what? He goes to see her after she sends this video. It obviously touched him and moved him. And he tells her that let's just go. Let's just go and leave here, leave everything and travel. And just get away and leave it all behind and just enjoy ourselves. And she agrees. Just as they're about to board, she sees some people off to the side on the dock, and she goes to take a picture. And when she does, they're a good distance apart. Nick looks behind him after purchasing their tickets, their boarding tickets, and he can see the city behind him. And there is this same ripple wave, except the buildings are kind of turning to dust and forming again as they eat through the skyline, and it comes upon him, and he kind of looks at her almost like I said, like a wave, like a tsunami. This phasing is coming upon him, and he goes to yell at her, Janine, and she stands up and she just looks, and it kind of consumes him, consumes her, and then he comes to himself. And when he comes to himself, he is actually driving on a road, and in this car, and Tesla, it looks like, and he kind of, and he gets out, and immediately there's been a phasing. Initially, when the phasing happens, you still have your memory, right? It is just after that, because things have been changed, you lose that memory, and the memory is not recovered. It's sort of phased out. So he still got some memory. He calls Janine, and she's like, "Where are you?" And he was like, "Where are you?" And it just kind of went dead from there. She didn't have time to recite who she was, but she did say, "We are forever. We'll find our way back to each other, I promise. But where are you?" And he loses her. He gets back in the car, and he drives immediately to this memory place, and he wants to get his memories. Oh, this last phasing was a doozy. So they can give him a refund, but they at this time cannot recover any of his memories. And there really is no guarantee of anything except getting your money back. Which he initially scoffed at when he signed up for the service, but here we are, right? And she says, "I can give you a refund," and he just storms off. And when he gets home, there is a dog there, but it's a different dog. It's a small dog, like a puppy dog, like a hound dog, still named Charlie. Okay. What I forgot to mention to you was that one of the things that he did after they had the big blow up was he actually set up an appointment to meet with Tommy. He hadn't talked to him in a long time, but because he had these suspicions, he took it straight to Tommy. And, they did have some conversations at lunch, and it was kind of cat and mouse. And he finally said, "Are you time jumping?" And altering my past with Janine, altering our past to change our future now, to break us up right now, to take Janine from me. And Tommy was like, who would do that? I mean, it is illegal, and yeah, I don't know. So you can kind of tell that Tommy is smug, and he is being cocky, and we just don't believe him. Later on, when Nick goes back and talks to Janine, he discovers that she had already met with Tommy. She had already had her own suspicions. She was just trying to stay calm and keep him calm because she didn't want him to do something that he would regret, like paying to go back in time and hurting Tommy. Because she remembered when they were friends, and she really believes that if they just stay patient and just stay calm and just not agitate Tommy, that even though he has the money and the resources, he'll finally leave them alone. Now, Nick is not so sure. He finds that she actually met with Tommy, and it infuriates him. He is very upset. This is what led her to make the video. And to tell him about the circle of love that they have. This is really what led to all of that. And so now that this super huge phase has happened, just as they were about to kind of jet set and get out of town and get away from everything. And he gets back home, and he sees this little dog, and it's not the dog we saw in the beginning. It's not the cat. And he has a completely different wife. It is a woman named Alex that he used to love when they were much, much younger. When Tommy and Donna and her husband, when they were all friends before Tommy met Janine, they were all friends, all back in La Jolla, and they all enjoyed themselves. And even though Alex and Nick never worked out, when he goes to confront Tommy about possibly time jumping, and messing up his life with Janine, he says, what about Alex? Have you seen Alex? Have you talked to Alex? You should think about dating Alex. Like, he's trying to give Tommy something to do other than focusing on what he and Janine has going on. Listen, Nick really, really loves Janine, and Tommy really, really loves Janine. He loves Janine. He wants Janine back, baby. Okay, he wants her back. They both can drink her bath water. All right, they both can lick the ground that she walks on. Okay, it is all together lovely, honey. I'm eating it up, right? Okay, come on, queen. Come on, queen. But now we have Alex, who is a beautiful woman. But he has gone to the memory recovery center. He can't get his memories back. He doesn't can't put his finger on it. His keys still work. It's all things are in place. There's a pet there. Like, all things are equal, except it ain't the same. And he knows it. He feels it. It's there. It's palatable. Alex soon notices, in a few hours, she notices it's something going on with him. In the next few days, his memories fade a little bit more, a little bit more. Although he doesn't have those memories, he still has this feeling. He cannot connect with Alex. It's like he doesn't know Alex. He knows her. He knows her. They have this whole life set up, but it's something he just cannot connect with it. We find out that Alex is talking to Tommy on the phone, completely separate, right? We see after he talks to her on the phone and reassures her that her and Nick are going to be okay. They're going to be fine. We see that he is there in the garden of his palatial estate, and it's Janine that is there with him, and they are back together again, right? And she doesn't have any memories. She's none the wiser, right? When they both woke up from this last huge big phasing, she was with Tommy, no memory of Nick, and Nick is with Alex, no real memory of Janine. But they still are connected. There's still this weird energy, this weird space. And so Nick is able to recover from this. Somehow just going through the day-to-day routine, and Alex sort of sticking it out with him in these moments. Even though she is giving them an ultimatum: if you don't want to be here, let me know, all of this stuff. Finally, they go out, they have dinner, they get to know each other, and she was never this bad person anyway. So he finds himself just residing to what the relationship is. And so months have passed, maybe, and he goes to hang out with his sister. This is after the girlfriend, the best friend has died in a rock climbing accident. He calls to kind of chit chat with her, and he finds out that she is back. She is back. My good friend Paloma is back. Really? How did that happen? You were right. It was the phasing. And he said, oh, wow, that's incredible. So they go to her, he and Alex, to celebrate. And when they get there, it's a rock climbing thing, and Paloma is there, and they are having a good time. Paloma runs off to find a new path for them to walk, or a new adventure for them to do, or off into the woods. And that's when Zoe tells them both that she actually paid everything that she had. She hocked everything and went back in time and stopped Paloma from going hiking that day, rock climbing that day, and it saved her life, and now she's back. She said, I couldn't rest. I couldn't live without her. Knowing that I could do things differently, that's what I did. I am completely financially broke, strapped, like I don't even know how I'm going to make it. And they were like, oh no, we'll take care of you. We'll see about you. And everybody just went on about their business. Nick is happy finally, and it's kind of like he's forgotten about Janine. I am sad. I am just as connected to Janine as Nick is, and I'm not accepting of Alex. I'm not abhorrent of Alex, but I'm not accepting of Alex. I fell in love with Janine right along with Nick, right? So I'm wanting me, Nick, and Janine to get back together again, okay? So, he gets a call from the memory restoration place, and they say, hey, good news, we were able to find a half a smidget of a memory. Would you like us to send it to you? And he was like, yeah, sure. So they send it, and it is just the last few seconds of the video that she made for him, where she got up after she talk to him so lovingly and go to turn the camera off. So all we see is this, you know, just a shadow of her body and the reach of her hand. Just a little bit, little shoulder, little side face, and a little ooh, 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 right? And he can't stop watching it. He cannot stop watching it, right? Like this is what it's about. It's about this energy, this kismet, this pull of just knowing that this is the person that you're supposed to be with. Just knowing that what you're doing is not it. Like there's more out there. There's something out there. There was a place, there was a thing, there is someone that you are connected and rooted and grounded to, right? It's this pull that I'm just falling in love with this movie. And so it bugs him. It bugs him. And he makes up in his mind, after he does some thinking and some pondering, that he is going to go and visit this place that Zoe used to get Paloma back. He goes and talks to the woman and gets all the lowdown on how it'll go down and what will happen and how it works and all of this. Again, it's illegal for him to make any alterations. It is illegal and immoral for him to do anything that's going to alter the past and consequently the future. So she tells him how much it is, and she shows him. He's like, oh, we never know the amount, but it must be astronomical. It must be pretty big, right? Right. I'm thinking like it's over, $100,000 at least. And so he goes into this room, and after he pays for it, he has left a beautiful note for Alex. He's had this wonderful moment with her where he assures her that he does have love for her. He never admits being in love with her. He does admit it to her being better, to be her being in a better place and wanting more for her. He does discover that she had a huge connection with Tommy when they're they are getting along great and they are doing good, and he's just trying to muddle through and go on with his life. They do have this conversation, he and Alex, and she makes him realize some things about Tommy maybe he didn't realize. He had these assumptions that Tommy was this rich guy and that, he was cocky and all of this stuff. And Alex saw him differently. Alex saw Tommy as an individual who was just trying to fit in, not trying to use his money or his dad's money to, to impress everyone or make friends. Like, he wasn't thinking of himself as this rich boy, but they were. And so in this conversation with Alex, he realizes something about his friend. So what he makes it up in his mind to do when he goes back into time, he pays this money, takes this drink, takes this trip, goes back in time. It's all tastefully done now, right? Goes back in time. And it is back when they were all just friends. No Janine in sight, right? Janine, they didn't even know of Janine. This was the La Jolla group. And they would always meet at Tommy's father's beachfront property every other weekend. At a beach, on a bonfire on the beach. And what Nick does is he goes back to a day that he remembers where he didn't go to the bonfire. He was sick. And so when he goes back in time, he goes to the bonfire, right? Future Nick goes to the bonfire. And he pulls Tommy aside and he talks to him. He talks to him earnestly. He apologizes for all assumptions. and the way he made Tommy feel back then. He tells Tommy that he's going to break up with Alex because back then this was at the time period when they were younger, when he and Alex went together. I'm going to break up with Alex. I know that you like her. I know that, you guys have a connection. And I just want you to know, no hard feelings. I encourage you to connect with her. And Tommy's like, are you sure? And he also thanks him for, saying, hey, I accept you. I apologize if I ever treated you like an outsider just because you had money and all of this. And so then he goes and talks to Alex. We don't get to see that conversation in depth. Then he sits down because you only have 24 hours in the past. So he does that, sits down, and he writes his past self a note. Goes to the apartment where his past self lives, slides it under the door, knocks on the door, and walks off. His past self opens it and reads it. And basically it says, don't worry. Don't be afraid. You're going to be lonely now. You won't understand it, but you will know her when you see her. You will know her when you see her. So he comes back, he comes to, and when he comes to, he is in his own apartment. And there is no pet of any kind. There is no other person. It's just him, and it's just work. He also has his sister, but he is immensely depressed. He is so lonely. And he goes and meets with his sister. And she's trying to be jovial and lift him up. And he says, in a moment that just broke my heart, like it just, oh my gosh. Was I always this lonely? And she's just like, oh, I'm so glad you asked me, brother. To be honest with you, I have been waiting for such a long time for you to find your way out of this fog, of this despairing place that you're in. It is so emotional. She wants him to just pick up and go on and be happy. But because he made these alterations in the future, in the past, he's positioned himself in the future to not find happiness until he finds Janine, to not know happiness until he finds Janine. So he goes to this party. Again, Donna and her husband, that they're mutual friends from La Jolla, goes to the party. Tommy has invited him. He's still friends with Tommy. Now he is off the grid. Like none of them have seen him in such a long time. And together with Zoe, they're trying to kind of get him out of his funk. And so they want to bring him back into the fold. They invite him to this party. So he goes to this party, and Tommy is there with his wife, Alex, right? I mean, his time jump worked perfectly. Tommy and Alex are together. But what isn't together is Nick. Nick, like I said, he is frayed at the edges. He is in complete and utter despair. He is despondent and unhappy in the most palatable way. Okay? He has a conversation with Alex, and Alex just kind of tries to bring him out a little bit. And she, of course, thinks that some of his sadness may be because she got with Tommy, right? And Tommy tries to lift his spirits. Alex tries to lift his spirits. Everyone is there and they're happy and they're jovial. And we see as Nick is talking to Alex, we see just a flash. Someone is taking pictures somewhere. And so just as they're ending their conversation, she's like, someone's calling her over. Come on. We're going to take a group picture. And we see another flash. And we see him kind of sort of walk up to the crowd a little bit like he's going to engage and participate. But something comes over him, this sadness when he sees everyone happy and jovial and having a good time. And he decides to just run out. He decides to just skip out on the party. Like I'm leaving, And before he does, the person taking the picture stops and turns and looks at him. And just as he's turning and looking over his shoulder and looking back to his friends that he's going to walk off from, and their eyes connect. It is Janine, and she is gorgeous. Okay, Cynthia Erivo had the most beautiful red lip on you have ever seen. It is gorgeous. She looks beautiful. And even though he sees her, he connects, and there's this kinetic energy, he's just like, oh, I'm leaving. And he goes to walk off. It is just as he breaks the doorway, his hand grabs the frame of the door and holds on. And the whole time she is slowly walking up and looking towards him, walking off like, oh my gosh, I got to get to know you. You're it. Like, oh, I've just seen the one. He felt it too. He was just poo-pooing it, and something connected with him. I don't know if it was the note that he wrote to his past self that said, you'll know her when you see her. Ooh, baby. Baby, when I tell you my butterflies was... That's my tummy. Oh my gosh, it was the most amazing moment to see his hand hit that door frame. Like, ugh. I can't. I've seen her. I can't unsee it. I felt it. I can't unfeel it. Oh, it's such a good moment. And then it goes off. We don't get to see them reconnect, but we had already seen them in their best, most wonderful moments, right? It was a story about so much. It was about the one is the one, right? Like nothing can undo it. Nothing can unfray it. When you find the one, when that one finds you, that is it. That is it. Nothing will substitute for it, right? Like when like my mama say, down in your knower, right? It's a little bit about that. It's also a little bit about understanding, not considering everyone your villain, but maybe coming from a more understanding a place about where they may be in their lives, why they feel the way that they feel, why they behave the way that they behave, right? And then it's also about making amends. If you could go back and do things differently, do things better, make things better, right? Undo some things that you did, that you regret, that altered and changed your very future. What would you do? Would you do it? This movie is about all of that. It is absolutely a beautiful, beautiful body of work. I encourage you, if you don't have Amazon Prime, see if they got a couple of days, trial out there for you. Check it out. Come back. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it in the comments. Put it down below. Don't forget to thumbs up this video. If you have seen this movie, I want to hear what you think about it. And listen, until next time, honeybees, mwah, mwah, mwah.